Have you ever noticed how we tend to overcomplicate everything? Seriously, the bigger the problem, the crazier the solutions we come up with. But what if I told you there's a method so simple, like ridiculously simple, that it can solve almost any problem in your life? Curious? Stick around because what you're about to discover today might just flip the switch for good. Look, everyone's been through that moment when nothing seems to work. We try everything, read 1,000 tips, watch tons of videos, but we're still stuck. And you know why? Because most of the time the solution is right under our noses. We just don't see it because we expect something complicated or revolutionary. In this video, I'm going to show you what this simple method is, how it works, and most importantly, how you can start using it today to unlock any area of your life. By the end, you'll have a practical tool ready to use whenever a new challenge pops up. So, what's this ridiculously simple method? Ready to write it down? Here it is. Just do the next simplest thing. That's it. Instead of getting lost trying to fix everything at once or waiting for the perfect solution, just ask yourself, what's the next simplest step I can take right now? Sounds silly, right? But trust me, this approach changes everything. When you focus only on the next simple step, you take the weight off perfection, anxiety, and the fear of making mistakes. You start taking action, even if it's slow. And guess what? Small actions add up to big results. Want an example? Let's say you want to organize your finances, but just thinking about spreadsheets, investments, and debts makes you want to give up. Instead of trying to fix everything, how about just writing down what you spent today? That's it. Tomorrow, take the next simplest step, and so on. This method works for anything: studying, losing weight, improving relationships, learning a new skill. Always ask, what's the next simplest thing I can do right now? And do it. That's it. Let's put this method to work in real life. Check out some examples. Productivity. Got a huge task to deliver? Instead of freaking out, ask yourself, what's the smallest part of this project I can start right now? Maybe it's just opening the document and writing the title. Boom, you've started. Personal finances. Want to get out of debt? The next simplest step could be just checking your account balance, no judgment. Tomorrow, write down one expense. After that, think about one small expense you can cut, one step at a time. Relationships. Want to improve your relationship with someone? The next simplest step might be sending a quick message to ask how they're doing. You don't have to fix everything at once. Health. Want to start working out? The next simplest step could be just putting on your workout clothes. Then take a walk around the block, and so on. See how everything feels lighter. When you focus only on the next simple step, the impossible starts to feel possible. And suddenly you look back and realize how far you've come. Now, let me tell you, a lot of people stumble when trying to use this method. The most common mistake? Wanting every simple step to be perfect or big enough. That's when perfectionism and self-criticism kick in, and you get stuck all over again. Another mistake is underestimating the power of small steps. It might feel like nothing's happening, but honestly, that's where the magic happens. How do you avoid these traps? First, accept that progress is made of micro wins. Every step, no matter how small, counts. Second, don't compare yourself to others. Your next simple step might look different from someone else's, and that's totally fine. And last but not least, celebrate every bit of progress. Seriously, celebrate. That builds motivation to keep going. Let me share with you a true story that's not just inspiring, but also a powerful example of how taking the next simplest step can completely transform a life. James Clear, now a world-famous author and speaker, wasn't always the productivity expert we know today. Back in high school, James was a passionate baseball player with big dreams. He trained hard, loved the game, and imagined himself playing at the highest levels. But one ordinary afternoon, everything changed in a split second. During a routine practice, James was hit in the face by a stray baseball bat. The accident was brutal. He suffered multiple facial fractures, a shattered nose, and even lost consciousness. For days, he drifted in and out of awareness in the hospital, his future suddenly uncertain. Imagine that for a second. One moment you're chasing your dreams, and the next you can't even get out of bed on your own. James's recovery was slow and painful. He had to relearn basic things: walking, eating, even just sitting up without feeling dizzy. The doctors told him not to expect too much too soon. For a while, it felt like his old life was gone. But here's where the story gets interesting. Instead of giving in to frustration or trying to force a miraculous comeback, James decided to focus on what he could control, no matter how small. Each morning, he'd ask himself, "What's the next simplest thing I can do today?" Sometimes that meant just sitting up in bed for a few minutes longer than the day before. Other days it was walking a few extra steps down the hospital hallway. Progress was slow, painfully slow, but it was progress. There were setbacks, of course. Days when he felt stuck, or when the temptation to compare himself to his old self, or to other players, was overwhelming. But James kept reminding himself, it's not about giant leaps, it's about tiny steps, taken consistently. Months passed. Those tiny steps started to add up. Eventually, James was able to return to school, then to the baseball field. He wasn't the star player right away. In fact, he spent a lot of time on the bench. But he kept showing up, kept asking himself, what's the next simplest thing I can do to get better? Over time, he rebuilt his strength, his confidence, and his skills. By his senior year, James had become one of the top players on his team. He went on to play college baseball and later to write Atomic Habits, a book that's helped millions of people around the world change their lives, one small step at a time. Now think about your own challenges. Have you ever felt stuck, like the mountain in front of you was just too high to climb? What if, instead of trying to leap to the top, you focused on just taking the next simplest step, no matter how small? James Clear's story is living proof that those tiny steps, repeated day after day, can take you further than you ever imagined. So, next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, you don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to do the next simplest thing. Who knows? That small step might be the one that changes your life forever. And honestly, nothing would make me happier than seeing your story here in the comments. Imagine coming back to this video weeks or months from now and sharing how you took that one simple step and how it started a chain reaction in your life. Maybe you finally tackled that project, improved your health, or just felt a little more in control each day. I'd love to hear that you were one of the people who put this method into practice and saw real change happen. So if you do try it, come back and let me know. Your story could inspire someone else who's watching and still waiting to take their first step. So let's do a quick recap. The secret to solving any problem isn't about crazy complicated solutions. It's about taking the next simplest step without waiting for perfection and without comparing yourself to others. Small actions done consistently change everything. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the problem that's been keeping you up at night lately? Drop a comment below and tell me what your next simple step is to start tackling it. And hey, if you thought of someone who's always feeling stuck, share this video with them. Maybe it's exactly the push they need today. Oh, and if you liked this content, stick around, because there's a lot more good stuff coming your way.